My name is Jouke Elsinga, and in today's video I once again want to talk about atheism.
Okay, to be fair, this isn't the actual start of the video, and in all honesty, I wasn't looking for this type of content, but in the stupid sphere, it seems to be their default belief now.
Welcome viewers at a new episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth.
So yeah, yet again, another flat earther. I can't escape them apparently, even when I'm literally searching for a different topic. It is, however, irrelevant to the subject at hand, and to his credit, is largely left out of this video. I just wanted to get it out of the way so we all know where we stand. Also, I don't want anyone to think that I'm using that belief to poison the well. If I wanted to do that, I would say that all I'm hearing whenever he speaks is this.
Goedemorgen. Maken de bekelsbrood met brood. Brood met pudding. Yes, sir. En de brood met de zware sluizen de lurtes.
But I wouldn't do that because I'm a good boy. So, let's go.
More specifically, I want to talk about on how atheists tend to shift their part of the burden of proof towards the side of theists.
You want to talk about how not believing another person's claim or the many other similar but different claims, you think somehow that what I am willing to believe at face value needs any other proof than what I tell you that I do and don't believe. Well, this is going to be dumb, isn't it? I mean, really interesting. Do go on.
When it comes to the existence of God. In a previous video I already explained how atheists tend to redefine atheism as a lack of belief.
Redefine? Mate, that's what it means. This is the definition, and really the only definition. And if you do think it means something else, I hate to say it, but you don't know how to words. When you have a word like theist having the prefix of a means without, or generally the opposite of what the word means. Like, amoral is something or someone without morals. Asexual reproduction is breeding without sex. Alcoholism means I don't have enough booze inside me. The only people I see redefining atheism are people who want it to mean something else. So you can say that what's in my head is irrelevant to what I believe, which is super goddamn stupid, and you should probably cut it out, because every time I hear this argument, I want to reach down my own throat and strangle my liver.
A lack of a belief is a lack of an attitude towards a proposition or towards a claim.
No, that is irrelevant. When my kids tell me that neither of them painted a badly drawn pony on the TV, I don't lack an attitude towards that claim. I am in fact really pissed off that my TV is screwed and I am being lied to. I don't believe that neither of them did it, and I can still have an opinion on it. What you are saying simply doesn't make sense, and I believe is an attempt on your part to say, oh, if you're an atheist, you aren't allowed to criticize my religion because only people who believe the same thing as me can do that. I could be wrong about this, of course, but if that is in fact what you are doing, well, that's incredibly intellectually dishonest. Redefining words to mean something else instead of actually addressing arguments, it just proves you got nothing.
So if you have a lack of an attitude towards a proposition or claim, then you can't say anything about it.
Oh hey, look who was right. Smug face.
Atheists say that they don't believe in God's existence because of a lack of evidence.
Yeah, and did you know there's a super easy way to deal with that? Provide some. Preferably something that's not, say, a book that proves itself correct by saying that it is in fact correct, because that doesn't count.
So what they just simply don't seem to get is that an absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Ugh, are you kidding me? We've all heard that bit of sophistry, but it doesn't mean anything, because absence of evidence is also not proof of existence. It's nothing. It's meaningless. And most importantly, to pretty much everybody, it's untestable. And a pragmatic mind should say, well, I can't see, taste, smell, feel, lick, poke, fuck, spit on, or otherwise interact with something in any way, so I might as well not believe, especially if the person who keeps telling me it does, for some reason, also wants me to join his club and keeps asking for money to build his mega clubhouse. Almost like he has something to gain out of it. Now, I'm not saying this straw man is all theist, of course it isn't, but when someone feels the need to constantly berate me for not thinking like they do, they definitely want something else from me, and they can piss off if they can't prove their thing above anyone else's thing.
From the absence of evidence for a claim doesn't follow that that claim is not true.
No, technically it doesn't. But again, if there is nothing for you to show me, then why should I believe you? You have to give me more than semantics, because otherwise I'm just believing something for the sake of it on your word. And honestly, who are you? And why should I believe you? When you put it in that light, it's very unsurprising that even in families that aren't overly religious, the kids often still believe in the gods because their parents told them, and they have no reason to think they would lie or be wrong.
Is it correct then to say, well, just because atheists only reject the claims made by theists, they don't have to bring any evidence to the table?
Abso-freaking-lutely, mate. Because what you are not understanding is, the claim isn't God doesn't exist. The claim is I don't believe. I, me, moi. It's a claim about what's in my head. And the second you say, well, actually, blah, 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 you have now not only got the burden of proof for your initial claim, you now have to prove what's in my mind. You have to prove either I'm lying or that I don't actually understand what I believe. And good luck doing either of those things when I'm the only source of information on that.
I think the following fragment perfectly shows why this is not the case.
Oh, I bet it does.
And to use catchphrases as the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, I mean, that's philosophical bunkum. I mean, I'm terribly sorry. If God exists, you've actually got to find some real evidence. I'm terribly sorry that we scientists do base the way we think on evidence. I mean, if I say that I think that you're a kangaroo because I dreamt you were a kangaroo last night, that is not evidence of the slightest importance. I think you really, if you want to go, you look for evidence, you've got to find evidence.
Well, maybe he's a bit of a toff, but essentially that sums it up reasonably well. Although the kangaroo analogy isn't great. I would have used something like, if 1,000 people believed you were a kangaroo, it wouldn't change the fact that you clearly aren't, and unless you can prove otherwise, 1,000 people's belief is irrelevant. But yeah, it's fine.
So what about the argument based upon the absence of evidence for God? Well, I said the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. He said, well, that's just a slogan. The point is that in order to justify the belief that God does not exist, you have to have some sort of evidence or justification for that.
No, I don't. It's my belief, and your inability to convince me otherwise is nobody's fault but your own. Maybe if you had some kind of material object covered in God DNA, we could talk.
Otherwise, it's possible that God does exist. Even if all of the arguments for God failed, that wouldn't be evidence that God does not exist.
Okay, but it's really, really stupid to believe something based on every argument for that failing, wouldn't you agree? If someone told you that the world was going to end today, and you believed it for some reason, and then it just didn't, would you continue to believe that? Well, I'm not convinced that you wouldn't, but any rational person could come to the conclusion that, no, it was wrong, and more than likely any subsequent prophecy is going to be BS too.
So that in order to provide some sort of justification for atheism, for thinking that belief in God is false...
No. I see what you did there. Screw you, buddy. That is not what atheism means, and never has. It does not mean that believing in God is false. That is wrong and incredibly stupid. Atheism is one person's lack of belief in God, not a claim that believing in general is wrong, I don't know if you're just that much of an idiot to conflate those two very separate ideas into one, or that you're using word trickery to make them linked. But you should cut that crap out. And Video Maker Man, if you think this is in any way a good argument that supports you, I don't think you know what the argument is.
He needs to give some sort of arguments, not just say there's an absence of evidence. And in any case, I have presented the evidence in tonight's debate.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. I mean, debates are where scientific facts are established forever, and not just a who's better at debate dick measuring contest. FYI, I don't like debates. They prove absolutely nothing, and every time someone offers to debate me on a subject, I offer them a scientific paper off instead. It's weird how they never take me up on that.
If you say that we don't know that God exists, or that the proposition that that God exists is false.
I'm not saying it again. You are misunderstanding the difference between a claim about reality and a claim about an individual state of mind or an opinion on or in regards to that reality. I can't tell you that you don't believe in God because as far as I'm concerned there's no solid evidence for God. And if I did make that claim about you, I would have to bug-nutteringly prove it.
Or that people who believe in God are deluded, or that there's no evidence for God's existence.
That is not the claim. Never was, never will be. And making out that that is the claim just proves you don't understand and should probably take some wordsing lessons.
Then these are claims to know something. And these are knowledge claims.
Those are knowledge claims, but have nothing to do with the word at hand that I'm kind of sick of saying. And I can't even take a shot every time I do because my dumbass thought it was a good idea to do Stocktober. God, I'm an idiot.
So then it follows that you should bring any evidence to the table. So why then don't atheists do this?
Because you are a cretin.
Well, that's just because they can't.
And look at his smug face. He's like, got him! No, you haven't. What you have proven here is that you have no idea what you are talking about, and perhaps shouldn't make videos on the internet telling people what they do and do not believe.
And some atheists even admit this.
Yes, that you cannot prove that there is no reality beyond the material
there's
world.
two separate questions here that have to be distinguished and carefully answered. I'll do it exceedingly briefing. Nature exists. If there's an argument against that, I haven't heard it. To argue that naturalism, therefore, is correct simply requires the additional view that none of the positive arguments for supernaturalism work. To declare that supernaturalism cannot be proven false is in itself not a positive argument for supernaturalism.
Atheism does not require you to be a naturalist, and in fact, there are spiritual sects that simply say nature and all its processes are God. So naturalism doesn't necessarily require atheism either, at least if you can do the mental gymnastics around that. But hey, much like sun worshippers, they can actually point to something real when asked for evidence. That's a big step up for me, at least. But that's not the argument you're interested in. Yes, many people will admit that we can't disprove that there is a supernatural. But you have missed the glaring problem. Not being able to prove something is not evidence that it does exist. That's the entire point. And you need to look up what unfalsifiable means in science. Put simply, if something is unfalsifiable, it ain't science. And if someone tells you that you're not even wrong, well, that's about the biggest slap in the face you could ever get from a scientist.
So that is basically why they create all this confusion.
Oh yeah, of course. It's us creating confusion by trying to clear up your misconceptions. Yep, checks out, guys. We can all go home.
On their share of the burden of proof and why they reject it. So there you have it, guys. This was it for today. So now you know how to dismantle this reasoning of atheists And I hope you've learned something from it, and I hope to see you at the next episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth.
Yeah, I would really, really love to see someone taking this argument and tearing apart anything. This shit couldn't dismantle a soapy Lego set. Oh, and dear, if you don't know, you're an agnostic, Patrol. Wrong. Agnostic is a knowledge claim. Atheism is a belief claim. If you don't believe in God, but also don't know if he does or doesn't exist, you are an agnostic atheist. Still an atheist. But if you tell me or anyone else that we are actually agnostic smum, after watching this video, well, you're as much of a moron as this individual. I need to go have a word with the man in the mirror, because that dude is thick as crap.